Your teacher today is Dr. Bosa, Science. Dr. Bosa is a teacher at the Science Foundation College, the best school that teaches sciences. Today, we are going to study geography, UACE 250, paper 2, agricultural practices in the world. Lesson 4 of 7, intensive farming. It refers to the growing of crops and rearing of animals on a limited piece of land using scientific methods of production. For example, crop rotation, use of fertilizers, and so on. It is largely carried out to cater for existing large populations that require much food. Despite the high productivity of land, limited output is available for export due to high domestic demand for agricultural products. It is largely carried out in Western Europe, such as Netherland and Belgium, South Asia countries such as Thailand and China. The different forms of intensive farming include market gardening or tracker farming. For example, in California, Netherlands, Belgium, Denmark. It is the cultivation of vegetables, fruits, flowers for urban market. The farms are small and located in areas easily accessible, and irrigation is often used. Vegetables can grow under natural or artificial grass conditions. Soils are constantly replenished by manure and artificial fertilizers. It is labor intensive, but machines can be used during harvesting. Scientific methods of farming are used. B. Horticulture. For example, in Netherlands, Kenya Highlands, and Denmark. It refers to sustainable growing of flowers, vegetables, tomatoes, onions, cucumber, cauliflower, and so on small plots of land using modern and scientific methods of production, which results in high crop yields per unit area for sale in urban centers. C. Factory farming. For example, Denmark and other European countries. It is the rearing of livestock, especially poultry, piggery, and cattle herds. The animals are confined to pegs or stalls and are fed on balanced and manufactured foodstuffs. It is carefully supervised to protect the livestock from diseases. Big capital is required for establishment of buildings, measuring devices, and so on. It is carried out on limited land, employing limited labor, but yields maximum standardized products. The market is readily available. D. Aquaculture. For example, in Japan, Norway, and so on. It involves breeding, raising, and harvesting fish, shellfish, and aquatic plants. Characteristics of intensive farming involves growing of crops, rearing of livestock, poultry, fish farming on small plots of land. Crops are grown in either fields, greenhouses, or under glass. Farms are managed scientifically using high-yielding crop varieties, livestock breeds, fertilizers, pests and disease control, and or irrigation. Skilled labor force is employed to give attention to crops and animals. High output per unit area. Farms are located usually within the vicinity of urban centers where there is a ready market for the produce. Output is intended for commercial purpose. Most commodities are consumed while still fresh. Requires large capital. Factors favoring intensive farming. Physical factors. Presence of land for intensive farming. Flat landscape to facilitate irrigation. Use of machines. Grazing of animals, and so on. Fertile soils. Favorable climate of cool summers and mild winters with average temperatures of 10 degrees Celsius and average rainfall of 750 millimeters. Reliable sources of water for irrigation purposes. Low incidence of pests and diseases. Human factors. Ready market for agricultural products such as flowers, vegetables, milk, pork, and so on. High technology involving storage, preservation of farm products, management of farms, and so on. Presence of cooperatives that help farmers to access loans, solicit market for the products, advocate for land for farming. Presence of highly skilled and unskilled labor to grow, harvest, market agricultural products. High level of continuous research to obtain high yielding and quick maturing crops and animals. Supportive government policy for promotion of farming and livestock industries. Efficient transport network, for instance roads, railways, water canals for distribution of farm products and obtaining farm inputs. Political stability to allow large-scale investment in intensive farming. Relevant education system for farming personnel. Contributions of intensive farming. Positive contributions. Provide foodstuffs to the population. For example, tomatoes, onions, cabbages, and so on. Sources of raw material for agro-based industries, such as those that make tomato sauces. Provision of employment both in agriculture and agro-based industries. Provide the market for industrial products such as machinery, fertilizers, pesticides, and so on. Leads to diversification of economy. Leads to acquisition of foreign exchange through export of fruits and vegetables. It promotes tourism. Leads to acquisition of skills. Leads to urbanization. It is a source of government revenue through taxation. Encourages development of infrastructure such as schools, health facilities, and so on. Promotes good international relationships through exports. Negative contribution is of intensive farming. Pollution of environment from agrochemical industries, industrial wastes, and so on. Leads to soil exhaustion due to monoculture. High losses due to pests and diseases. Price fluctuations affect marketing of agricultural produce. Labor strikes affect farming operations and production. Causes food shortage due to emphasis on cash crops rather than food crops. High costs of establishment and maintenance of farms. Encourages rural-urban migration. Causes displacement of people from their land. Repatriation of profits because farms are owned by foreigners. Causes destruction of natural vegetation. Poor hygiene from livestock keeping. Irrigation farming. For example, Sudan, Egypt, Senegal, Tennessee Valley. It is an agricultural practice which involves provision of water, either permanent or temporary, for plant growth. It is carried out where natural precipitation is insufficient to meet the plant moisture requirement. Factors that favor setting up of irrigation schemes. Physical factors. Inadequate and unreliable rainfall, making irrigation the only solution to productive cultivation. Presence of reliable sources of water, such as permanent rivers. For example, River Nile in the case of Egypt and Sudan. Presence of fertile soils. Presence of extensive land where irrigation schemes can be set up. Flat or gentle sloping land to facilitate irrigation by gravity. Aridity reduces costs of clearing land. Low incidence of pests and diseases. Soils with low water retention to prevent waterlogging. Need to control flooding. Human factors. Availability of market for crops to be cultivated. Availability of capital to set up irrigation schemes. Presence of cheap, skilled and unskilled labor to work on irrigation schemes. Need to generate employment. Need to diversify agriculture. Need to produce raw materials to feed local industries. positive contributions of irrigation farming. Increased cultivable land. Encourages research to produce high-yielding crop varieties. Increased food production such as wheat, rice, and so on. Production of cash crops like cotton, rice, tobacco, and so on. Increased government revenue from taxation of farmers and farm employees. Increased foreign exchange from export of produces. Improvement of international relations with importing countries. Increased incomes to the farmers. Production of raw materials for local industries. Farmers acquire modern farming skills from extension workers. Irrigation farms provide a market for farm inputs such as fertilizers, tractors, herbicides, and so on. Promotes development of infrastructures, power dams, schools, and so on. Promotes tourism. Provides employment opportunities on farms and processing industries. It enables continuous farming irrespective of natural conditions. Encourages development of urban centers. Negative contributions of irrigation farming. Pollution from fertilizers. Increased spread of waterborne diseases. Price fluctuations. Soil degradation from monoculture. Development of urban centers resulting into congestion, increased crime rates, and so on. Unemployment due to mechanization. Lack of labor due to rural-urban migration. Silting of irrigation channels. Displacement of people.